Hi everyone, welcome to Illustrator training. We're going to go through the first setup of your files itself and then jump into the basic uses of the pen tool and also the white arrow and black arrow tool within Adobe Illustrator. So if you download the content off of Blackboard, what you'll see is a zip folder and then some other files. Once you get them opened up, you're actually going to see, let me just make sure you guys are seeing this as well, yes. There's going to be a folder within the zip file itself for garments. When you download these files, if you're working on PC, you're going to have to extract the files themselves. So what you're going to want to do is double click on those zip files and then open them up. And then from there, what you want to do is go ahead and copy all that information and then save it into another folder that is not zipped. So anytime you're working on a PC, you have to extract the file itself and then copy everything and paste it over into a new file. So if what we're going to do here is that let's go ahead and double click on this. Right up here it says compress folder. Okay, so this information is actually still being saved within the zip file itself. So you can go ahead and select on one, Control A for select all, Control C for copy. And then from there we can actually go back. We are going to create a new folder here. Give me 1 second here. Let's see. There we go. New. Sorry, my other screen is here trying to open things. I'm going to try to get these closed down as well. There we go. Okay, so these are going to be garments. And we'll do assignment 5. Control V for paste. We'll get those copied over. Okie dokie. The reason we do that is because if you have files within a zipped file and you try to drag and drop them into Illustrator, it isn't going to work. So that's why we have to copy them over into their own folder. So for your guys' assignment itself, you have this Tech Pack Croquis. This Tech Pack Croquis, the Illustrator file, you want to actually work off of that Illustrator file. You don't want to say open and everything. It will actually make more steps for you. So if you come to this Tech Pack Croquis and open up this Tech Pack within Adobe Illustrator, it's going to give you a croquis. And that's going to be our first starting point from where we want to start these croquis. So we're going to get this Illustrator file open up. The first thing you're going to want to always do once you get this open is go into View. We're going to turn on our rulers, show rulers. Now if you notice up here in our rulers we actually have probably points set up. We're going to change the preferences within our units over 2 inches. And that'll be a good place for us to start. Since we open up our rulers, our first task of what we're going to do is actually come over here. We actually get our layers open up. We have a croquis layer here. We're going to actually create 2 new layers. The first one is going to be set up as back. So that is going to be the back of any garment. And this top one here, we're going to rename to front. And since for your assignment we're only going to be working on the fronts, it's just good habit to get these into if you're going to work on technical flats. We're going to turn off this back layer itself. So we're only going to work on the front layer. So let's go ahead and drag a ruler over to the middle of this garment. Now, we can also use our shortcuts anytime we need for Control Plus or Control Minus. I'm going to move my keyboard here real quick. Just give me a second. So it's closer for me to be able to drive over here. Okay. The first thing that we're going to do, okay, is go over the tools that we're going to use to be able to create these technical flats. The majority is going to be your black arrow, your white arrow, and then also your pen tool here. So we have the pen tool itself, we had add anchor point, we have minus anchor point, we have the anchor point tool itself. Now for the pen tool, the way that this guy works here, let's go ahead up into our layers and the strokes, show options. We can go over here into our weight. For any silhouette that you're going to use, the outside of the garments themselves, you're going to want to have your weight set up to 1 point. It's going to be a 1 point solid line, and then also change your rounded caps and your rounded ends here to rounded from being the butt in the midder, okay, in where the actual corners and the caps are. Now, since the actual lines themselves, let's go ahead and create some lines here. Okay, so we have our lines. That's one line. That's going to be for your silhouette. If you need to end a line, go ahead and press escape, and then you can actually delete a line by pressing delete twice. That deletes the end point that we made on our first to the last anchor point, and then by hitting delete again, it will actually delete it itself. So what we need to do first, okay, we are going to start constructing this garment based off of our croquis right here. You can hold space bar and then click and drag your mouse, and it's going to move the template itself around. So we can do that right here. So let's create a really simple t-shirt. That's going to be the first one that we do. We can start down here at the bottom, okay, depending on the length. I'm not going to use an image, but why don't we actually drag one in here real quick so you guys can see what's going on here. Okay, we have technical flat garments for assignment. We'll open that one up. Let's just drag this collared shirt right in. What first happens is it drags it in actually huge. So what we need to do, black arrow tool, we can take our selection. We can come up here into object, transform, scale. And let's go ahead and scale this down maybe 20%. That's perfect. Okay, so that's how you'll be able to drop a photo in right here. Okay, if you want to put it onto, like, let's say a layer that you can't move or anything, you can actually make this back layer. You could probably maybe bring it over here, lock it back up, and then anything that you do, you can't select and move this photo. It's saved on the back layer. You could also to probably make it even more production standard, bring it down here onto the croquis layer. Let's unlock it and then lock it back up. So we're actually not hiding or working anything on the back layer itself. Okay, so we're back on this front layer. Now, we can use this later. Okay, this is one that you can pick for your assignment, or you can pick one of the other ones. Let's going to delete it. We're actually going to create just a very simple t-shirt over here without any of the collar stands or the pockets or buttons or anything right now. So here's our pen tool. We're going to come up onto our front. Let's start right here. We're going to begin the first part of that path to come right up over here. We are going to drag it and we're going to shape the actual line itself, okay, to right there. Now the first thing that we can actually do is move this handle, okay, by holding Alt and move it up. And so it's then going to start shaping, okay, with the handle that we originally had on here. So we had to move it. We had to move it up to actually make the way this path goes all the way up to where the sleeves are. So why don't we go ahead and press right here. So that gets us for our beginning point. The one thing we also want to take into consideration is when we build technical flats that we are actually going to reflect from one side over to the other. So when we reflect from one side over to the other, we want to make sure to build only one side of the garment itself. So you want to make sure that you deconstruct the garment when you do this before you actually jump into actually the creation of the garment itself. Because if you don't look ahead and if you don't look which one is actually going to provide you with more design, you're going to end up having to do more work. You're going to maybe have to do double steps, which actually makes more time and it makes these things longer for you. So we can actually continue this line right here by pressing on the pen tool. We will go right here to this intersect. We will go right here and we will shape it out just a little bit. We can then press Alt. We can move this back up. We can come right here to this path. We're going to shape this line, okay, to right here. And we will shape this one as well, about right there. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. We're going to hold Alt. We're going to move our handle down. And then we're going to finish off with our actual point here to about right there. Perfect. Okay. Now, we're going to get and jump into here, convert anchor. We can select on this path itself, okay, by using this tool right here. I know it shows the whole entire line is selected, but it's not. It's just this path in between these two anchor points. So if we hit Control C for copy, edit, paste in place, we can then come up here right to the direct selection tool. We can click on this anchor and we can move it up with our anchor points, or our arrow tool, sorry. And then we can actually move this handle as well to shape the back of the garment. So what we'll do next, we can go over here to the anchor point tool, Control C for copy, edit, paste in place. We can actually move, do that again, anchor point tool, select the path, Control C, edit, paste in place. There we go, that's better. We're going to move that down. Now, if you need to move a anchor point that is attached to any line, these are the steps that you can use to actually move the path of the anchor, okay, the anchor point, not the entire path, but the path will move along with it. So, if you hold Shift, you select and hold down on the anchor point, let go of Shift, and then you can actually move the anchor point itself right up here onto the path. And then we will reshape this just a little bit. Okay. Now, this is going to be a top stitching line, so we have to change that. So we're going to actually come over here to the dashed lines, and we're going to hit 2 and 2. You can also set this as 1 and 1. It's going to be up to you guys on what you choose, on what you like. You'll also want to change the weight over to 0.25, and that's going to give us any top stitching that we have. So we're going to go back over here, Control C for copy, edit, paste in place, black arrow tool. We can move it down 2. We can then move this line right over here to the path. We can then actually use our eyedropper tool and take all of those settings that we set up and move it over to the back. Okay. Now we've also got to have a line right here. What we're going to do, we're going to select right here on this anchor point. We want to have a little bit more shape right up here. There we go. That's a little bit nicer. Let's go over here to our pen tool. We are going to come right up here onto the intersect. And we are going to end that point right there. Press Escape to stop it. We can move this anchor point to right there. We can then actually just drag the line by using this tool and create some shape. Now, depending on the actual shape of the garment, that's how the shoulder is going to be put together, where the sleeves are. Okay, it can't go this way. It doesn't work like that. So you actually have to drag it this way. Much better. Now, we've also got to make these stitch lines. Now, we're missing a couple things. Okay, this does not just work like that. So, copy, edit, paste and paste. We're going to move it over to. We can actually move our points here. One to right there. Eyedropper tool to the black arrow. That is our cut and sew line. Okay, that is where two pieces of fabric will be put together. So that is the resemblance of the two pieces of fabric being put together. Okay, we're going to move this to right there. And let's go ahead and move it down just here. And we'll move that one down just a hair as well. I don't like the way that looks. Let's go ahead and press on this line. We can actually move this toggle out just a little bit to give us some more shape. And move this one down just a hair. That's a whole lot better. So let's go ahead and select this line, copy, edit, paste in place. We can then move it over as well. Let's go ahead and use our eyedropper tool. Invert anchor. Bring this down just a little bit. And then we will also reshape this just a hair as well, just to give it a little bit more open shape, just like the other line. That's probably a little better. Okay, super nice there. Let's go down right here. Once again, we will copy the line. Copy, edit, paste in place. Let's go ahead and move it up and over. Okay, eyedropper tool. We will get that one right there. If we need to move any of the toggles, we can. Let's go ahead and move these down just a little. This one can come down as well. Match the other one. And we've also got to make one down here. Copy, edit, paste in place. Let's go ahead and move that up too. Eyedropper tool. Now what we can do, we can select all for copy. Now if we select all for copy, we actually select the guide as well. So in order to deselect the guide, you can hold shift and actually just drag and it will deselect it. We're going to go over here to our reflect tool, which is right here. Now on a PC, okay, we hold shift alt and then we click on the guide. It's going to bring up our reflect command box. Okay, all we got to hit is the copy and it will copy another copy right over onto the other side. Now, let's go ahead and delete this. We're going to bring up our layers. We're going to turn the crow key off. Now, there's a couple things that I want to adjust here, okay, because of the way that I do not like them, okay. There is something right here that's going on, okay. The back of the t-shirt should follow the same exact curve of this, okay, right up here. Now, what's happened here, okay, let's go over here. And we can select on this anchor point right here, okay? Since this line, this handle, okay, is below this axis of 0 degrees, okay, it's actually going to create a little bit of an M if it's faced this way. If we did it this way and it was off, it would show a little bit of a W. And we don't want that, okay? So we're actually going to step back here, okay? Let's go ahead and delete this. We are going to also bring this down a hair. Let's go ahead and delete this one as well, and we will fix it on this one right here. Let's go ahead and bring that down. There we go. And let's bring this one down as well. If you want to 100% be on a 0 axis, if you hold shift, it will do it and bring it right down to the 0 axis. Okay, now we can hold black arrow tool, hold shift, select them, they're both. We can go right back up here to the reflect tool again, okay. Hold shift alt, click on our guide and say copy, but we've actually got to be totally off of our anchors. Go to your black arrow tool once again, select path, hold shift, reflect, shift alt on the guide and say copy it over. Okay, let's go ahead and turn that off as well. And that gets us the basic length of a longer shirt. Okay.